Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of our nervous system conversations. In the previous episode, we talked about how stress can gradually build up in the body and how over time it creates protective patterns that begin to shape the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we respond to life. So, today I'd like to explore two of those protective responses in a little more depth. We're talking about the fight and flight mechanism. Most of us have heard these terms before, but very often we can misunderstand them because fight isn't only about shouting and flight isn't only about physically running away. These are simply two intelligent ways our nervous system has learned to protect us when it perceives danger. And the interesting thing is that sometimes the danger isn't happening today. Sometimes it's a memory or a belief. It can be also an emotional wound that our brain has learned to associate with threat. Let's begin with fight. Imagine you're driving to work and someone cuts in front of you in the traffic. And within a second, you feel irritation, your body becomes tense, your heart beats faster. Maybe you even start talking to the other driver, like they're so inconsiderate, what is wrong with people, you know. Now, was your life actually in danger? Probably not. But your nervous system interpreted the situation as I've been threatened. And so fight mobilizes energy. It prepares us to protect ourselves, sometimes through anger. Sometimes we protect ourselves through control, sometimes through criticism, sometimes through the need to be right. But here's something I'd really like you to reflect on. Very often we're not actually fighting the person in front of us. We're fighting the feeling that arises inside of us. And perhaps it is the feeling of not being respected, or not being heard, or the feeling of not being seen, or not feeling important. Sometimes our nervous system says, I need to protect myself. But underneath, what we're really longing for is, I want to matter. I want to feel safe. I want to feel valued. And this is why fight can sometimes appear as wanting to control everything, becoming impatient, criticizing others, always needing to have the last word, or becoming perfectionist, just like my experience. And this happens not because we are bad people, but because somewhere inside of ourselves, our nervous system learned that control feels safer than uncertainty. And interestingly, some people move towards the danger and others move away from it. And this brings us to flight. When we think about flight, most of us imagine running away. But in everyday life, flight often looks very different. It can look like always being busy, working long hours, cleaning the house, studying another course, scrolling, planning, thinking, doing, because stopping feels uncomfortable. And one question I often invite people to ask themselves is, can I actually stop? Can I sit quietly for 10 minutes without immediately reaching for my phone or making another plan or finding something productive to do? If the answer is no, then perhaps the busyness isn't only productivity. Perhaps it's protection. Sometimes we're not moving towards something. We're moving away from something, away from sadness, away from uncertainty, away from loneliness, away from shame, away from fear. Because our nervous system quietly says, keep moving, it feels safer this way. This doesn't mean that ambition is bad or that productivity is unhealthy, not at all. The question is simply, can I choose to stop? Or does my nervous system feels like it has no choice? When we look closely, fight and flight are actually trying to meet very similar needs. Fight says, I'll protect myself by becoming stronger. Flight says, I'll protect myself by keeping moving. So these are different strategies, but having the same intention, that is safety. So today I'd like to leave you with a gentle question. The next time you notice yourself becoming irritated or constantly busy, pause for a moment. And instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Perhaps ask, what might my nervous system be trying to protect me from? Sometimes that single question changes everything because it moves us from self judgment to self understanding. And that's where healing begins. Thank you so much for joining me today. In our next episode, we'll continue this conversation by exploring freeze, flop, and fawn, the other three protective responses that are often misunderstood yet incredibly important to recognize. Until then, be gentle with yourself. Your nervous system has always been trying to protect you, and every small moment of awareness is already a step towards greater regulation. Sending you lots of love, and bye for now.